Bitcoin is currently flying to the moon. My price prediction, my technical analysis, and what is going to happen with Bitcoin in this video, guys. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in, friends. Let's talk about Bitcoin. The Pandora box is opened. Bitcoin is right now, at the current data I'm looking at, the price at the 69,000 has been already over 70,000, which is crazy for Bitcoin. Now I'm going to tell you right now how I invested in Bitcoin, at what price, also when I bought the first time Bitcoin in the past, and where I'm going to target it when we're expecting some form of pullback, and the most important chart which everyone is ignoring. Let's go. So friends, let's have a look first quickly on the Bitcoin price chart. So the normal one that everyone can see, and let's just have a look on the weekly price chart. It is crazy what happened after the Bitcoin spot ETF approval. I was not expecting price to go that up higher, and I've always updated you on Instagram that I want to make an update for Bitcoin, but to be honest, I didn't have any plan on what's going on, and I just made some research recently, and I watched so many Bitcoin videos, and I've made my research very deeply. And that's why in the future I'm going to explain you a few things about Bitcoin which I didn't know before, even though I'm already an investor in Bitcoin since, let me tell you, since June 2022. Crazy, right? I bought that time, the first time in my life, Bitcoin. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin in 2020 as well, but nothing significant. That's why I don't really want to mention that one. But the first time that I really bought a little bit of Bitcoin was in 2022 in summer, because I made at that time an analysis. I predicted at that time the top of Bitcoin, not perfectly. I was expecting price to go up to 80,000, and price at that time only reached 68,000. I mentioned that at that time very often, that Bitcoin will never go to 100K and that one bull cycle. But right now, I'm expecting price to go even higher than that. So let's make the analysis together, guys, and let me tell you what kind of price predictions I have. So if we have a look on the Bitcoin price chart, as we can see, there is a very interesting characteristic that Bitcoin always offered us. I'm looking at the Bitcoin price from the logarithmic perspective. That way you can really see that this thing is bullish. It's more than bullish. It's crazy bullish in reality, and we have institutions involved this time in Bitcoin. This time, it's different. I always love that quote because in the last cycle, everyone said this time is different. Tesla bought Bitcoin, it's going to go to the moon. And at that time, I understood that it's not going to go up that high because I haven't seen the institutional power being here. But now that changed since the BlackRock spot ETF got approved. Bitcoin just shoot up. It's crazy on what kind of movement it did. And that made me to invest Bitcoin at a very high price. But is it really a high price? Let me tell you what price I invested the second time in my life, a decent amount in the Bitcoin price. And that was actually back here on a Sunday when Bitcoin was at around 62,000. At that time, I made the decision, I'm going to invest my money in Bitcoin because I see the risk of not being involved in the movement. That is not FOMO buying, of course not. It is actually because my price prediction for Bitcoin is going to be for this bullish cycle, which I will also tell you what date is going to stop. Guaranteed, almost guaranteed, we will see, mark my words, Bitcoin will be over 200,000 up to 300,000. That's what's possible. That's the range that I'm expecting. So I would say 250,000 is something super realistic for Bitcoin until the end of 2025. Mark my words, this is going to happen. And that might sound crazy, but in reality, that is nothing. I would not be surprised if it's going to go even higher. I don't really care about the price where Bitcoin will be. I care about my timing, because timing especially investing is super important. Everything works with cycle, and I'm going to introduce you now my 4-year cycle on Bitcoin. Let's go over on this chart. So friends, you can see here a chart where we can see Bitcoin being in a 4-year cycle. Now you're looking at it and you say, but Darius, what do you mean with 4-year cycle? What does that mean? It means that Bitcoin, out of 4 years, if you look at it, 1 year it is bearish, 3 years it's going to be bullish, okay? And that is the point of it. I haven't added right now the Bitcoin halving to it. I just showcase you now my 4-year cycle on Bitcoin, and it is incredibly how crazy this thing works. Let's have a look back then. It was only here at the beginning where I can right now see the data, but that's how it looks here in the past. It had 2 years of bullish, and then the cycle really started. I don't know specifically the date of Bitcoin. I don't know if that is the beginning. Here it says that is the beginning of Bitcoin. I'm not focusing right now on this, if I'm honest, because at that time, that is a different type of technology, right? It's in the early age. It's not really established in the financial market. The more time it will spend here, the more it's going to be with the same psychology handled. Very important. The Bitcoin price goes up and down because of human psychology, especially in the last couple of years, because people are greedy, they have fear, and that's exactly what drives the prices to go up and down. I can also showcase you now, for instance, that we've seen after price just run all-time high, that we had a pullback. The reason for that is because long-term holders have been realizing profits, which is making a lot of sense. Wouldn't you do that if you bought Bitcoin at around $1,000, $2,000, $10,000? Wouldn't you just realize some profits? Probably you would. Me personally, I bought at around 22,000 my Bitcoin, and I'm not going to realize anything because I'm not here to make money with Bitcoin. I'm going to just position myself for the future. I'm going to store my value, my energy, and my time for the future because that's the purpose of Bitcoin. I'm going to explain you that in another video what I mean with that, because many people are probably right now a little bit confused about, hey, what do you mean with storing value, energy, time, and so on. You will see that in the next video that it makes a lot of sense. So back to the analysis, friends. I'm not going to realize any profits so far. I will realize first time profits in Bitcoin probably at the end of 2025. Probably around the summer, Bitcoin will reach the new all-time high and will then actually transit into a bear market. Okay, but this is not the point now of the video. We just know right now what kind of targets we might have. I'm going to showcase you that this theory that I'm sharing here with you is quite on point because I've done that already in the past, already with Bitcoin. I've been predicting the low of the last cycle. I've predicted the start of it. I've predicted almost the high. I've predicted this correction, and now that is my next prediction. And I'm quite confident in that one, and that's at least what I'm going to do. I'm going to update you in YouTube here what my steps are going to be. And yeah, mark my words, that will happen. So let's see. If I'm wrong, hey, everything is fine. My general plan with Bitcoin is not to close all my Bitcoins at the end of 2025. My goal is actually to hold as much Bitcoins as I can throughout the next couple of years, because if you understand Bitcoin, you know that Bitcoin is here to stay, and it's not a money-making opportunity or whatsoever. It's actually something which everyone will use in the future. Just one simple thing. Don't you believe that the current world that we're living gets more and more digital? If you think so, then Bitcoin is exactly the next step for our money, the new technology and how money will work in the future. But as I mentioned in the new YouTube video, that will be the topic for it. So back to the charts, friends. So we can here clearly see, as I mentioned, that price has this 4-year cycle. Here it's starting with being bearish, okay? And we'll also show you the drawdowns and so on. But here, bearish, and then 1 year bullish, 2nd year bullish, 3rd year bullish. Important to know is that the opening, right, and the low and the high is actually like this. So it's a bullish market. Also here, see from here till here, bullish, from here to here, bullish. And now here, again, a bearish market, 1 year from here to here. And then what happens? Price starts to go up higher, creating higher highs, higher lows. Then started to create a low, right? That was my prediction that I made at that time, that from here the bull run will start. As you can see, this whole year remained bullish, and then again another year of bullishness. And here in this case, November, price reached the high and then it dropped. Okay, also here you can have a look at the high in November. Here the high was in December. Okay, and here it was November. Then 1 year of being bearish. That was the reason why I personally bought that time, because I knew that we've been in that one bearish phase, and I just bought around 20,000, 22,000, something like that. And then I haven't touched Bitcoin for a while because my perspective has changed during the situation, because I always believed, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to follow the fundamental analysis, and then I know exactly what I have to do and at what time I'm going to invest in Bitcoin, because until the interest rates doesn't change, I cannot invest in Bitcoin because it doesn't make sense. Because if you look on Bitcoin, it's actually correlated with the US dollar. So if the US dollar is losing in value, the Bitcoin gains in value. That is actually the phenomenon why Bitcoin works the way it works with the 4-year cycle, because it's already quite implemented in the financial markets. And it means that the psychology in the system behind it is almost the same. And that's exactly why at that time I believed, now during this year of 2023, I believed, okay, you know what? There isn't enough money for Bitcoin. Like, people don't have money to put into it. And that might still be the case, because if the US dollar right now is going to lose the value that crazy, which it does right now, obviously. If you have a look on gold, new all-time high on gold, crazy. New all-time high on Bitcoin and in general. And that might lead into that Bitcoin right now won't be fully adapt. And that means that Bitcoin could not or cannot rise that crazy. But I still believe it's going, at least, until the end of 2025, it will be at an all-time high. And I believe it's going to be between 200 and 300,000, maybe even higher. I don't care about that. I just said at minimum, that is what I'm expecting. And then we will see where it will be. So I'm going to time it, not going to, at that price I'm closing. Because that's not how it works at the end. Time and price is important to understand, not only price. People are always focusing too much on the price. And that's also the point where I invested at 62,000, because it's not because of, it's so expensive now, I'm waiting for price to come down to 40,000. It's more than likely like this. Bitcoin has a limited supply of 21 million Bitcoins. And if everyone wants a Bitcoin, only around, I think, 0.26% can have a Bitcoin. So if you just own one Bitcoin, you are top 0.26%. Now, you get the point. I think the target for everyone should be gain or collect as much Bitcoins as you can, and that will actually bring you in a position where others can only dream of being. Because if Bitcoin were rise now up to 300,000, and you have to pay 300,000 for just one Bitcoin, do you know how hard it's going to get or to be for those people to even buy a normal Bitcoin? So for the average person, where we assume it's impossible, probably already at this price, for the majority of people, it's impossible to buy Bitcoin. I'm just encouraging you guys that this is probably your last chance to buy Bitcoin at around that price. Now, the Bitcoin halving is around the corner, and I will update you through this storm again. I believe we have right now two scenarios on what price might go and do next. And I believe you got these two scenarios of the first one. If we have a look quickly here at the weekly time frame, I'm telling you right now around what we might expect is a pullback. To see right now, pullback on Bitcoin around 50,000, and then to continue going up higher. The halving is, I think, on the 28th of April, something like this, 29. So you see we're very close to be there. And I believe personally that we might have one of two scenarios. The first one, as I just mentioned, to go down lower. I see here from a technical perspective, this POI, I see this POI. We might also still see this POI and this. So it's quite hard in Bitcoin because I'm not really trading Bitcoin. I have no experience in trading Bitcoin. So of course, I'm not the best right now to predict those prices, specifically for the pullbacks. I'm just going to look to see when it will change then. Right now, it seems to me like it's bullish. And if it's going to continue to be bullish, then it will look something like this. Let's stay on a daily. If right now the price will remain bullish, we will have a price action something like this. Then Bitcoin halving, probably a sweep on liquidity, and then the bullish continuation. So probably the low of this whole thing might be around this current all-time high, around 70,000. Might be one of the situations or the scenarios. The second one would be price is going to drop till the Bitcoin halving, and after the Bitcoin halving, price will then establish a bullish flow. And I believe that if this is the scenario of price dropping down, it might also run the high, create a new all-time high, using that liquidity to then drop lower, which would make even more sense from my point of view. But then the chance would be very high if it's going to go down for the bearish scenarios around 49, 48,000, 50,000, that area, to retest it. And I'm not saying that the price will chill there for several days. I believe it's going to be, if it will even give us this pullback, which is not even dramatic. Okay, so from this current price to the downside will be a 30% correction. I don't know how realistic that is, if I'm honest, because it's quite a lot, and we should forget that we have institutions in it. And of course, institutions are interested to buy at that lower price. I'm not saying they're not, but if it will do this, then that will be the last time. Price will never return to this area anymore. I'm quite confident in that this would be like this range. You will never see it again on Bitcoin, because once it will take off, the future pullbacks and the future bearish cycles won't be that aggressive anymore, because you have more and more money into the market. And if the price of Bitcoin is at that highly priced, then the demand for it is so high that actually nobody's willing to sell it. And through the halving process, it's going to be even more attractive for all investors to put their money into Bitcoin. So yeah, guys, this is my view on Bitcoin. 2-3 scenarios, as I just mentioned. Again, just to sum it up, maybe we're pushing up higher. We get the Bitcoin halving event, a quick drop then, right? Maybe 10-20% correction, I don't know. And then it's going to continue with the bull run running through 100K, 100%, very, very fast.